Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series Winter Europe Edition. I'm Nathanius, joined on the desk by Zombie Grub as we get ready to go into our very sad losers match. Someone's going to get eliminated, Zombie Grub.
Yeah, who are you wanting to get eliminated less?
Who do I want to get eliminated less? That's a good way to phrase that question. I have no idea. I don't have a a horse in this race. But it is going to be some PvP, as we saw in the chat during the break, because I honestly, that's, you guys already know. You guys know because I'm in there the entire time. A lot of people very excited for this PvP.
Yeah?
A lot of people out there could have microed that War Prism better, according to the chat as well.
Yeah, apparently, that's for sure.
Yeah, we'll send your tips over to MaNa. I've recorded all of them into a large PNG file that we'll send to him. Yeah, it's going to be good. But we do have our next match. We are getting it ready right now. Just want to let y'all know, of course, if you haven't already checked out the war chest, you should. That's right. Bada bing, bada boom. You want a cool dark gateway skin? Do you want to have the Mega Edgelord Protoss building / unit set? Well, you can. In fact, today, I think it's in just an hour or two, the next phase of the war chest, the final phase of the Katowice war chest, is going to unlock. So you could, and I'm telling you right now, we got a lot of StarCraft left, you could unlock all the skins in the final phase of that war chest without doing anything. You just watch StarCraft all day. And if you're not watching StarCraft all day, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing on Valentine's? What are you doing? You going on a date? No, you're watching StarCraft, all right? We all know you don't have any plans.
Yeah, no plans, no work, despite being a Thursday. No, you all are just...
If you don't take off work to watch WCS and unlock your war chest, are you even a StarCraft fan?
Yeah, if you don't bypass your, security, your work to watch StarCraft on the side, you're pretending to work.
Yeah,
are you really a StarCraft fan?
That's the only reason why you have an unlimited data plan, so you don't have to use the work Wi-Fi where they block Twitch, right? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about. The players were doing the vetoes when we got into this. We just have a little bit of a longer period of time before we get into the game. But rest assured, we will get into that game. We know you want your PvP. And we also know you guys are dying for the winners match, ZVZ. Let's be real. The only other thing that's more real than these matches coming up are the other things that are coming up. We've got a great schedule. We're going through Group A of the round of 16 today. Then we're going through B and C and D. We're doing it in order. We thought about doing groups A, then D, then C, then B, but
that's absurd.
No, that just didn't really make any sense. So, yeah. And of course, we're going through the round of 16 groups. The round robin's going to be coming up after, but of course, we are going to take a little bit of a break in our schedule since Katowice is coming up very soon as well, it's going to be awesome. Honestly,
yeah,
the hype up, the ramp up for that's been sick. The war chest boosted the prize pool to some insane number.
Yeah.
Best players in the world from all over are going to be competing. What more can you really ask for? It's a great time for StarCraft. We had like GSL this morning.
There's so much StarCraft happening. That is for sure. Every single day, every pylon show. This week in StarCraft takes about an hour.
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah, that's a good thing. It's probably the most complained about segment. They're like, why do you guys talk about what's happening in StarCraft? This segment takes forever. This game is so dead. This segment about what you guys are all doing and it takes forever. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So that's good. But yeah, Katowice is going to be really, really awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be sick. We're getting into the lobby right now. Thank you guys for bearing with us. Hopefully you are having an amazing Thursday wherever you are in this big old wide world.
Yeah.
As we've got our lobby up, I'm going to tell them that we're ready to get a move on. And hopefully we'll have ourselves a good match here, Zombie Grub.
Hopefully, to make up for all this awkward small talk.
Yeah. Yeah. It is the round of 16, which hopefully provides game quality that makes up for the entire round of 32 as well.
Yeah. Some of those games in 32 were
fun. There were some good ones, and it's not meant to be a diss, but it's kind of like it's a natural part of any big tournament, right? Whenever we would do like the big offline tournaments, like when they're like, oh yeah, we have open qualifiers. If you guys show up to DreamHack, you can qualify for WCS. Most of the people that show up and are like, I want to play, almost none of them qualify because it is that difficult. But and that's just that's a natural part of it is getting to see some new faces. But generally speaking, a lot of stomps. This one hopefully won't be, as we are loaded in to kick off our PvP. It's a lower bracket match, 1 man moves on. One man gets eliminated. Spawning in the bottom right position of Port Alexander, we have the blue Protoss player. He is MaNa.
In the top left, as the red Protoss player, it is Drogo. Small Drogo.
Yeah, he just joined that new team, right? The Makers.
Yeah, Iron Chain got a new sponsors last team. So
cool.
It is Iron Chain, but then it's ascended.
So is it like a platinum chain? Is it like a Castlevania whip or something now?
Exactly. I think it's exactly what it is. It looks like it's like, I'm not even sure what to say.
That could be a really old Belmont. I'm just saying. He's got the headband on or something like that.
Belmont?
Yeah.
What's that?
The Belmont clan. I just made it. Zombie crap.
The heck?
It's okay. I've got a couple of sick game recommendations for you after this.
All right. All right, thank you.
It is PvP, by the way, so we won't really know what's happening until the cybernetics cores are done, since neither player opened with a forge. Generally, you get the probe scouts after the second gateway, cybernetics core, and then someone's going to go double stalker or stalker sentry or double adept, and that's where things usually get a bit more exciting.
Yes. That is the next 2 minutes, exactly, to a T. Those are all the three options. We maybe could have seen a probe go somewhere to slip down a potential proxy pylon, but we didn't see that, so yeah, that's the options we're waiting for. Overall, though, with these two players, talk about them a little bit in PvP. MaNa does seem to be extremely good at PvP. I believe it is his best matchup, and I think he's even said it's his best matchup, but I could be wrong with that one. Yeah, he's certainly taken down a lot of very good players. And Drogo, while I'm sure he has decent PvP, and he has a lot of good results under him, it's just one of those things where I do think MaNa is going to be able to stay in the group at the very least.
Yeah.
Drogo might be the first one out. That's my prediction, but happy to be wrong, and PvP is a wild beast sometimes.
Yep. Drogo going for the conservative opening with that sentry, wants to have the potential for the scout, whereas MaNa opened straight into the Stargate with he's just cranking out stalkers.
Yeah.
Always wonder how much, like, MaNa has been influenced. Everyone keeps talking about it, right? Because he was, like, the guy to play so many games against Alpha Star.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, yeah, he's the first one to engage, like, a White Walker. He's the first person that's had to fight one in forever, and he's just never been the same ever since.
I mean, he is going up to a lot of probes on one base, Nate.
You know, for the rest of his life, everyone is going to bring this up now. They're going to be like, well, you know, MaNa's oversaturating his main. He seemed them there White Walker. The only way to kill him is with 24 probes on one base.
This is very interesting. A follow-up of 2 more sentries. So MaNa, I mean, he's playing a little dangerously by not going for his own sentry to scout what potential Stargate there was for Drogo. There's not a Stargate. We know that, but he doesn't. That the Oracle could have been flying into a Phoenix. But in this case, Drogo sees it is an Oracle. MaNa's Oracle is going to be able to skirt around the probe line. It might not be able to do much damage, but it can certainly do that. I'm actually thinking more that it could try and snipe one of these sentries, as they are definitely snipeable by Oracles.
Yeah, it's an interesting moment here because you have the Stalker count lead at the front. One of the sentries is in the main base. And you're like, well, what if he just brought the Oracle in and just tried to fight everything at the same time? Which would be crazy, but there's a universe where some crazy aggressive tactic works out here. Great force field blocks him off, gets one of the Stalkers. He's going to snipe a sentry, but he'll lose another Stalker. And now that Oracle kind of gets into the backside, picks off a couple of probes, and will be forced to retreat. I'm not sure who got the better end of that. It's going to recall the Oracle out. The expansion significantly later for MaNa, but he does have more workers because he oversaturated that main, so there's another advantage to building workers nonstop there for him.
Yeah, he just killed a couple, so makes sense. He will eventually have a very slight economic lead. He's investing into Blink already. That's actually, I didn't actually expect that. He's the one who went Stargates. Drogo didn't have a Stargate at all, which of course the Oracle saw that, but he is still going to go into that Blink play.
So he's going to force this into being like a more micro-oriented game rather than trying to do the Phoenix Snowball. And frankly speaking, I'm happy for it. Phoenix Snowball games get really weird in PvP. They make me very uncomfortable.
The double Oracle team should be very good at scouting out what's going on. Sees a Robo, that's normal. +1 weapons, that's normal. I mean, the Blink is going to give MaNa a lot of map control. It's going to open up opportunities to actually be aggressive on the front lines. If Drogo is split, for instance, suddenly the Stalkers find the Sentry. There's no force field to help out. I mean, it can really work out aggressively. But it could also just be one of those PvPs that we wait for the +2 attack, which does happen sometimes. As both of them are going, you know, they're still building probes, you're going on all their gases. It's going to be one macro.
All right, couple of extra gates going to get added here as that observer for Drogo scouts out everything. And you talk about those oracles as they poke in once again. Keeping them alive in the long term pays off in a really big way. If the opponent ever tries to leave their base, those 2 oracles can just go vaporize an entire mineral line. Of course, you do want to use them to scout, since that's what they're going to be most effective at until your opponent does leave his base. It also gives MaNa a little bit of freedom on the map as well there.
That is a lot of gateways. It's going to be going up to 8 gateways.
Nice.
Right off the bat, he does have a Robo, probably for that War Prism. Certainly you can use the Blink to find your opponent out of position. Actually, poor Alexander, not so great for finding out of position in regards to like the main base. This is one of those maps that does not have any Reaper Cliffs or just really accessible mains, but it can certainly work out. If that's the way he wants to go, he can also just harass with it.
Is he going to try to do it? Is he going to do it? Is he going to go for it?
You could certainly snipe one of these sentries. I mean, you could pop the shield and the Immortal out too.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, is tag the Immortal a little bit. There's the first Blink back, all right. Immortal's barrier has been triggered and is gone. There's something just north of the main as well. Is that a prism? Okay, whatever it is, it's gone.
I think it was a recalled Oracle.
Okay.
Yeah. That's Mageus. Well, or they just moved. So never mind about the
There was something there. I don't know. Maybe
Oh,
it was
we're
crazy.
Okay, well, the Templar Archive's on the way, 3rd Nexus as well. This is what I was talking about with that +2 attack. Drogo's also going to go for the 3rd Nexus. Once that +2 attack is done, it often pairs up with the charge, as we see here. MaNa not really getting a lot from his Blink Stalkers quite yet, but he's still getting to the same, mostly same composition. The biggest difference, is that Drogo has more Immortals, so sometimes that looks much better, especially if they are target firing the Stalkers in a big old battle. Sometimes it looks worse, because the Stalker flexibility can go ahead and snipe units.
That War Prism, by the way, just thread the needle between the Stalkers on the left and the Oracles on the right. If you had seen that, that Prism is super dead.
Indeed.
Oracles go back towards the main.
Just getting a lot of scouting done. I mean, at this point, I feel like to both of them, it's clear that they're going to be waiting more on that +2 attack and who's going to be the one to push out first. Not many, you know, curveballs being thrown in here with like Disruptor play or something like that.
Yeah, fair point. We have the Prism coming out for MaNa now. He's adding in those High Templar. And you were talking about upgrades, right? And the Immortal count. Still just 1 for MaNa. He's got his 2nd Immortal on the way right now. Immortal count plays a big factor. The number of Zealots and the number of Archons is also another huge one, since Zealots on their own are already so powerful.
Well, speaking of Zealots, they got charged. They're coming in here with that Warp Prism. MaNa got his Warp Prism, but I'm not sure he's doing anything with it. No, he's just waiting. I think he was just waiting for the attack. We have a recall of the Stalkers, I assume. Yes, they're in the middle of the map. They are recalled back. Unfortunately, where Port Alexander doesn't have any of those blink up spots, it does have a ton of dead space in the corners where the Oracles have been abusing it now. The Warp Prism can. So that's something that MaNa always has to worry about. Technically, he can get a Phoenix, though, and that's exactly what he did. So the recall is going to have to come down on Drogo's side, too.
Yeah. All right, +1. Okay, I thought he was going to get armor there. Not usually common, but he's going to go shields. Okay. So he's thinking about the Archons a lot and making them a lot more tanky against the Zealots. I wonder how much of an impact that has. Now I'm going to have to spend 5 years in Unit Tester again. Yeah. Recalls out the Prism.
The shield upgrade is a little more expensive, but it does affect everything in the Protoss arsenal, and especially
including buildings.
Yeah. But it's a little abnormal still. Like, the ultimate goal towards PvP, unless you are playing the Disrupt or something like that, is basically a lot of Archons. So it's odd that it's odd, but we do usually see people more eager to get to that +3 attack, for instance, which I think MaNa would start if he didn't. I think he's preparing for the attack. Although I don't know if he actually saw it. He did not. The Oracles have been used to harass instead of cast Revelation, so he doesn't know exactly where the army is, but it's around that time that someone has to use that upgrade, someone has to find that position. It's the way PvP has gone
Is he
for a
not
while
gonna
now.
wait? I guess he doesn't want to wait now. He's like, it's not close enough. He's just gonna push in on this third base right here. That's a lot of Zealots and Archons doing the whole position thing, but don't forget, most of his units don't have the range. There we go. Now everything's gonna come up towards the front. War Prism immediately reinforcing here. We do have a bit of the juggling going on from MaNa's Prism in the back. He's gonna warp into Zealots on the right side as a couple of them do slip into the mineral line. Still a lot of Archons, 6 versus 6 for both players, 3 Immortals on each side. At the moment, the Zealots pretty much completely cleaned up on both sides. And it's just a micro battle.
Yeah. Well, so many of the Archons of MaNa actually weren't helping in that battle. That seemed to be where we probably really lost out here as we see the numbers start to get a lot more clearer, especially with the warp-ins. Drogo is going to end up dominating the attack. He takes out a couple of these last Immortals. MaNa, he usually goes Super Saiyan at this point in time. He starts microing, he starts juggling. It looks good. But eventually, the numbers catch up to him, and in this case, he just loses the Warp Prism. GG.
GG. Drogo punches it in. Did the shield upgrade finish during that battle?
I think at the very end there.
Okay.
I saw it pop up.
I was interested to see if it had any impact, but I guess not.
I don't believe so. I think it was a lot more the positioning, which is how that usually goes down. I was actually surprised that MaNa wasn't the first one to move out in the map, because usually that +2 is the trigger.
Yep.
And it's always, you know, a mystery to me in PvP as to who decides to go out and move. But in that case, it was Drogo, and in that case, MaNa got caught in his own Sim City.
Did the Stargate just not do it really either? Didn't really have enough of an impact this game?
I don't know if that really made any difference, honestly. I feel like...
I was still thinking about the Immortal count a little bit early with how long it took him to get them.
Yeah, well, it's the whole idea that he went to Stargate, which didn't do a whole lot, and then he also added on Blink, which didn't... It actually did nothing in this
Yeah, okay, maybe that was the bigger waste. Yeah, he did try to do a lot with the Stalkers and didn't really accomplish it.
Yeah.
Didn't get the Prism either.
It did what I would expect in a game like that. You know, I got a sentry here, I got a sentry there, like, but otherwise it didn't really impact the game. And yeah, I really feel like watching the army supplies go into each other, by the way, it was like a 8 army supply difference. Like something that is entirely up to position, and MaNa just seemed to have the inferior.
Maybe in a situation like that, if you can keep the Stalkers alive and then during that fight, like, suicide blink for the Prism, and if you get it, then you can hold, but...
That's one of the reasons we see Blink actually be useful, because the later the game goes, the less good Stalkers are, right? It's a general rule. And that's one of the positions we can find them. Or they do a good job of, like, microing against the Immortals and popping the shields before the attack happens.
Yeah.
Like, Stalkers can be useful with Blink. It just...
it's very hard, and if you make 1 or 2 mistakes, they all die pretty quickly. So.
Yes, and they just don't look as useful in those main fights that really are just like the charge lots butting heads and the Archons dealing with splash damage. So that's usually the much more important part of it. All right. I mean, that's game number 1 in Drogo's favor. As we spawn in the top left of King's Cove, it is the red Protoss, Drogo.
Doing very well there to take the early lead in this best of 3 against his opponent in the bottom right, the blue Protoss player. He is MaNa.
Should be coming into this feeling confident enough in his PvP, but then go down a game in the loser's match. Could be really tough to bring yourself out of that.
I did think that MaNa was going to have a much better day today. I actually thought he was going to take that first series against Namshar. I expected to see him go to the winner's match, but a bit shaky. Bit shaky here from the Liquid Protoss. I feel like his issue has been trying to do too much, though. Like, that was definitely the problem versus Namshar. He was going for, like, fake out build into double Stargate, into I don't actually have units, and it just did not work out for him at all. The game where he was decisive and was like, no, actually I'm just going to do this robotics build and just go for this really big attack with Immortals and a bunch of Zealots really early. That's where he found his success. And then even in that last game, trying to do a lot, opening the Stargate, but going into Blink and really delaying that Immortal charge, a lot of Archon tech, which is what PvP boils down to in the end of the day. Like, that's PvP, the big battles, lots of charge Zealots, lots of Archons, as many Immortals as you can afford to squeeze in before then.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at least like 3 or 4, and then as many Archons it feels you can get in there. But I agree with you entirely. Like, it feels like MaNa is totally capable of having those really cool games off the back of really cool strats and cool micro, but then he does sometimes just do too much at once and gets a little too fancy. Certainly felt that way last game where Drogo kind of just did a normal PvP thing and then dealt with every bit of harassment, no problem. and was able to decide where the battle was happening. So that's a nice, I don't want to say easy game, but it was a simple game, I suppose, for Drogo. Maybe a better way to put it. MaNa is looking to once again complicate things, though, not in the mid game, but much earlier on. We got a proxy pylon or hidden pylon.
I find this interesting because he went for the sentry as well.
Yeah.
So even though he has a probe scouting and the proxy pylon would make you think he wants to be aggressive, yeah, he builds a Stargate in his main. I guess the pylon is bait, or he's just maybe what he was doing was he was just trying to make it so that Drogo is like, "Where's your second pylon, bro?" And he wants Drogo to be paranoid.
I think that's actually what happens. There was no second pylon. Well, eventually he saw the what could have been the third pylon, which was the third pylon. So that might be true. But Drogo's not really over investing into any defense. He has his Nexus on the way. He's once again just going a little bit techless here, but figuring he can survive. And while MaNa did show that sentry, where are the hallucinations? Actually, I guess I missed. Oh, okay. So this one's going to get a full scout, but this one almost got caught, which was really nice by Drogo to almost do that, I suppose. But full scouts on both sides.
All right. Everybody knows what everybody is doing.
Oh.
We have that forge for Drogo. Feels
yeah, fast.
a bit early. Usually you're going to get that around the time you go for the Twilight or the Robo. But yeah, actually no. No, I can't. There's nothing you do with that. You're just like, well, I want to have my upgrade a little bit faster than normal, but you still have to get something else. You can't just use a forge.
No, it's, yeah, you gotta.
Yeah,
gotta
you don't
go
just
Robo.
push. You don't 4-gate someone with +1 attack, and then he has like 3 immortals and just kills everything. You're like, well, this just didn't work. I don't know. Maybe upgrades aren't good in PvP.
Yeah. MaNa will certainly be behind on that upgrade, but he will be ahead on the Immortals this game, which is very different than last. Just one Oracle this time, too. I was... Nope, as soon as I say it, he goes for second one. I didn't think the second one was really worth it last game. 150 didn't seem too impactful, but... Oh, well, he's going to try and make it work. Drogo is just being defensive. Eventually, this Oracle will see what I guess actually just reconfirm, but it's only a Forge. Still nothing else being added on.
Didn't get a whole lot for it. That natural will be harder to poke as well because it's not a shield battery. It is a photon cannon, which I would say is also unusual, but okay. I can understand the value of it, especially now having seen the Oracle.
Yeah. It's, it is the unusual play, but it can...
I just feel like you don't see a fast photon cannon defensively like this, in pro matches especially.
But it is in some cases better than that shield battery, which if Drogo was planning to be aggressive, wanted to just have something back at home.
Well, yeah, like I said, I do like it versus two Oracles, right? Because the shield battery is useless anyway, but the cannon at least has the potential to kill one of these units and zone a little bit better since it has that range on it as well. Oracles are going to poke up towards that natural expansion. They're going to grab one probe and then dip out. That Oracle really badly hurt. Also gets the Revelation, and the Hallucinated Phoenix checks out the main. So this could be a really fast +2 attack, but he'd have to basically just get a Prism and only build gateways right now, no more probes. And then he could do a +2 Zealot charge lot, like really, really huge attack.
Well, I think that's what he's going to do. I believe it's going to be with Archon. So he skimps on the mortal count. Obviously, that's something that MaNa's going to have, maybe up to 3. He should be recognizing.
He takes a third, though.
Yeah, but I think he's still... going to be mostly... I mean, the whole goal is right.
Maybe it's +3 attack build.
Maybe. Like, I feel like he's still going to position on the map as if he's going to attack when +2 is done, because his army composition is still going to be good. It's just missing the Immortals, which sometimes that's huge, and then sometimes it's just like, oh, they're attacking the Zealots anyways, and they barely help.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the Immortals don't have too much of an impact.
Yeah, sometimes it's a ton more about the Archon splash, and even a ton more about the charge, which... Obviously, Drogo's going to have everything set up so much faster. So MaNa should know this. MaNa being better PvPer than either one of us will have his own answer as he gets scout after scout after scout. He saw it. Twilight Council came down first. He sees that it's going to be a Templar Archives. He does not see the third Nexus, which I think is still important intel, but might be figuring it out as well. Actually lost his Observer. Oops. We'll see if he figures that out.
Yeah, the Oracles will spot it, I'm sure.
Yeah, should.
Still dumping the Chronos into the Forge, by the way.
Yeah, it's almost done.
He really wants to crank out the upgrades crazy hard. They do matter, right? If both players are only getting attack upgrades, then having that extra...
Whoa! No! Okay.
Good feedback, Reflex, but still.
That almost backfired. I couldn't tell if he meant to do that or not. He's like, oh, I'll feedback them. Oh, no, wait, I died to them.
He only got one of the High Templar, almost killed the other one.
Yeah.
And he didn't lose the Oracles?
Could have been worse for both sides, really.
Yeah, that was goodness. I was expecting some nightmare tier scenario there where it's like, I'm going to warp in for a Templar, and they all die.
Drogo going up to 10 gateways. You know, he did get at least one Immortal here, but I think we were expecting him to just mostly be about Zealots, and that gateway count also confirms it. You might have been right about that +3. I really thought he'd at least position himself on the map, but he's not even moving out, so +3 on the way, and then a Warp Prism, of which, by the way, he also scouts MaNa's attempt to do some harassment. I mean, MaNa should still do the harassment. As long as the arms are moving out. Okay, no, their Drogo goes now, but...
Okay, well, his plus... This is why I always find it weird, because with Chrono Boost especially, and since, in case you guys didn't know, the weaker upgrades research faster, so it still should likely end up being +2 versus +2. He's not going to find some giant window where he gets to fight with an upgrade advantage, and you know, unless he just keeps chronoing +3. But even then, that is still like halfway done. Some probes do get picked off by the Oracles. I think he has finally lost one of them. Yep. While some Zealot harass hits inside of the natural.
Yeah, trying to... I was fairly sure this was going to pull the army away, but Drogo does not go in. At this point, he might be waiting for that +3, realizing that his +2 timing does not hit before MaNa finishes his.
Yep. If I were him, I would have just clicked on one of MaNa's units and been like, oh, he has +2 as well? Okay, well, I'll just keep cranking to +3 and we'll be good.
He might try it. If he sees an open opportunity, then, again, positioning can be absolutely key.
There is no charge for MaNa. It's worth keeping in mind because the Zealots do bonus damage on contact. I'm not really sure MaNa wants to take this fight. No, he's going to try to pull back a little bit. It's like pulling up. I don't know why he was trying to instigate this battle. Yeah, because he is... I think Drogo might just smash his face in right here.
It might happen. We do have the juggling of the War Prisms for both parties, really. Drogo not using it nearly as much as MaNa, though.
The Prism is right there, too. And, yeah.
Well, MaNa, like, the Immortals, the weird thing about Immortals, right, is that when they don't do effective damage with the Zealots, they still pack a punch to basically everything.
Yeah.
You can keep them alive. They are an essential part of the Protoss army, and that's exactly what MaNa's depending on to win them this fight. Unfortunately, with such a severe difference in army supply, MaNa might just be tapping out here for an 0-2 result in his group, and that would be...
He lost probes, too, as well. GG, Drogo eliminates MaNa, and really well played there.
It didn't feel like MaNa's PvP. Like, MaNa has surgical precision sometimes.
Yeah, this was definitely an off day for MaNa.
It looked very, very off, and just Drogo looked like he was able to do kind of normal PvP and then just, you know, move out. That last game was kind of cool. You know, he didn't go for the standard macro game, but it was still a macro game where he was allowed to get to a certain number of probes, and MaNa just didn't ever find much harassment to be done. Kind of fell behind in multiple ways. That's disappointing for all the MaNa fans out there, Team Liquid fans, but good news for Drogo fans. We still have the Protoss surviving in this group.
Yep. Well, I mean, for now.
The
Protoss had to revive in this group.
Yes, but that's the only good news I can think of for you Protoss players.
Well, Drogo will go into the decider match to play against the loser of our next series. You guys like mirror matchups, don't you? That's right. We got a Zerg versus Zerg. And for all the normal people that could complain, it's Raynor, so you can't complain. We all love watching this guy play. He's so good. Raynor versus Snapstar coming up next after the break.